Consider the slot machine. A lever is pulled, reels spin, symbols align, or they do not. The dopamine surge is not produced by winning, it is produced by the near miss, the anticipation, the variable ratio reinforcement schedule that makes gambling more addictive than fixed rewards. Now open your dating app of choice, swipe right. A match occurs, a ping, a flash, a surge of electrochemical reward in your ventral tegmental area. This is not love, this is neurological hijacking. The modern dating industry has weaponized the same psychological circuitry that keeps rats pressing levers for electrical stimulation, except the reward is not food or cocaine, it is the abstract possibility of human connection. The architecture is designed to keep you swiping, not to find you a partner. Every match is a promise. Every message that fades into oblivion is a near miss. Every ghosting is a reset of the gambling cycle. You are not a participant in a social ritual. You are a user in a behavioral experiment. The app does not profit from your love. It profits from your hope and your perpetual, gnawing, carefully manufactured uncertainty. This is the foundational pathology of modern dating. The technology of connection has been optimized to prevent closure, because closure ends the session, and an ended session does not generate ad revenue. Layer on top of this neurochemical casino the psychological principle of the paradox of choice. In 2004, psychologist Barry Schwartz demonstrated that when humans are presented with an overwhelming array of options, they do not feel liberated, they feel paralyzed. If you have 30 types of jam to sample, you buy none. If you have 30 potential partners at your fingertips, you commit to none. Instead of evaluating a person on their intrinsic qualities, you begin to evaluate them on their relative qualities. You compare their height to the last match, their career to the previous one, their wit to the one who ghosted you. This transforms dating from an act of connection into an act of due diligence. You become a maximizer, someone who seeks the absolute best rather than someone who is satisfied with what is good enough. And maximizers, research shows, are consistently less happy, more anxious, and more prone to regret. You swipe past a perfectly compatible person because their profile photo is slightly less curated than the one you saw 10 swipes ago. You are not finding a partner, you are curating a catalog, and catalogs are not for loving, they are for browsing. The very structure of the interface trains your brain to treat intimacy as a commodity to be optimized, not a mystery to be explored.
Meet Natalie. She is 32, a senior marketing director in Manhattan, earning a salary that would have made her grandparents weep with pride. On paper, she is the demographic that should have everything. But Natalie has not had a genuine emotional connection in 3 years. Her dating app history is a graveyard of unread messages and first dates that felt like job interviews. She decided to take charge. She went on a 30-day dating blitz, one unique date every night for a month. She treated it like a research project. She wore different outfits, tried different conversational strategies, and logged each encounter in a meticulously curated spreadsheet. By day 30, she had met 30 men, 2 software engineers, 3 finance analysts, a documentary filmmaker, a trauma surgeon, a poet who was also a bartender, and a man who claimed to be a professional video game streamer. She could compare them all, but she could not choose any of them. Why? Because each man had a minor flaw. One laughed too loudly, one wore shoes she disliked, one was too close to his mother, one was not ambitious enough. She had become so hypersensitized to the aggregate data of human imperfection that she had lost the ability to tolerate the granular reality of human idiosyncrasy. She was not looking for a person, she was looking for a perfect spreadsheet row, and perfect rows do not exist. She ended the month exhausted, more lonely than when she started, and she deleted the app, only to reinstall it 2 weeks later because the dopamine withdrawal was physically uncomfortable. What Natalie did not realize, because the app does not tell you, is that she was trapped in the commodification of the other. When you swipe left or right, you are performing a high-speed, automated judgment based on a two-dimensional image and a 100-character bio. You are discarding human beings with the same cognitive effort you use to reject a pair of socks. This perceptual shortcut, the halo effect in reverse, dehumanizes the person behind the screen. Your brain does not fire the same neural circuits for a digital profile as it does for a physical presence. You do not smell them, you do not see their gait, you do not catch their micro-expressions, you do not feel the warmth of their hand. All the channels of subconscious communication that evolution designed to help you assess a mate are surgically removed. You are left with a cold, rational, visual cortex-only assessment. And the human heart is not rational. It is olfactory, auditory, and tactile. It falls in love with the way someone laughs, not with their job title. It bonds over shared vulnerability, not over shared taste in indie films. The interface strips away the messy, beautiful, irrational texture of attraction and reduces it to a consumer choice. And consumer choice is a terrible substitute for human bonding. Now, consider the asymmetry of effort, the feedback loop of disposability. In the pre-digital era, you met someone through a mutual friend, a workplace, or a community. There was social accountability. If you mistreated someone, your reputation suffered, your social circle would know. Today, you are a ghost. You can disappear after sex. You can ignore a heartfelt message. You can unmatch without explanation, and there are zero social consequences. This is social invisibility. The lack of accountability activates the darker recesses of human behavior. People treat each other as utilities, not as subjects. The anxious attachment style, those who fear abandonment, become frantic, sending multiple texts, trying to control the uncontrollable. The avoidant attachment style, those who fear intimacy, feel liberated by the anonymity, ghosting with impunity, moving to the next match without a flicker of guilt. This dynamic creates a toxic synergy. The anxious become more anxious, the avoidant become more avoidant, and the secure, the psychologically healthy ones, eventually opt out of the entire circus, depleting the pool of stable partners. The market is flooded with the emotionally wounded, and the healthy ones flee the field. This is not a dating pool, it is a self-selecting trap. Let us zoom in to the specific hell of asynchronous communication. In the real world, conversation is a flow state. You speak, they respond. You read body language, you adjust. In the app world, conversation is a series of strategic volleys. You wait 2 hours to respond so you do not seem too eager. You use a punctuation mark to signal tone. You agonize over a single word. This creates a cognitive overload that has nothing to do with emotional connection and everything to do with self-presentation. Your brain is using executive function to micromanage a text message, the same executive function you should be using to solve complex problems at work. By the time you actually meet in person, you have already built a fictional version of the other person in your head. They will inevitably fail to live up to this fiction. The cognitive dissonance between the idealized text self and the actual physical self creates a jarring disconnect. You feel like you are meeting a stranger, even though you've been talking for weeks. And often, you don't even make it to the physical meeting. Most conversations die in the messaging graveyard, a slow, agonizing death where both parties lose interest simultaneously, but neither has the courtesy to end it formally. You are left with a growing sense of failure that is entirely unearned. Let us talk about the paradox of the quantified self applied to romance. Natalie, our Manhattan marketing director, created a spreadsheet. This is not unusual. Data-driven dating is a booming industry. People look at response rates, date-to-second-date conversion, and average reply time as if they are key performance indicators for a sales pipeline. But human connection is not a sales funnel. It is messy, non-linear, and resistant to optimization. When you apply metrics to intimacy, you sterilize it. The spontaneous, unplanned, accidental magic of two people discovering a shared depth is replaced by a transactional efficiency model. You start asking, what does this person bring to the table, instead of, what does it feel like to sit next to this person? The former is a procurement question, the latter is an existential one. And here's the dark truth. The people who are most successful at optimizing their dating lives are often the most emotionally vacant. They have mastered the game, but they have lost the plot. They can get you into bed, but they cannot hold your gaze. They can charm your friends, but they cannot sit with you in silence. The metrics reward performance, not presence. Now, consider the macro-cultural shift in the definition of success. For previous generations, success in dating meant marriage and stability. For modern, sophisticated 18-plus audiences in the US and UK, success is often framed as independence and self-actualization. You were told that you must be complete on your own before you can be in a relationship. This is sound psychological advice, but it has been distorted into a dogma that discourages vulnerability. If you need someone, you are weak. If you feel lonely, you are defective. This creates a culture of hyper-individualism, where asking for emotional support is seen as a failure of self-sufficiency. Consequently, people enter relationships with their armor fully on. They maintain exit strategies. They keep one foot out the door. They do not surrender to the connection because they have been trained to protect their autonomy at all costs. But love, by its very nature, requires a temporary surrender of autonomy. It requires mutual interdependence. The modern psychological framework has pathologized dependency to such an extreme that genuine intimacy has become an act of rebellion, and most people are too conformist to rebel. Let us examine the illusion of infinite time. The app presents you with a continuous scroll of potential partners. It creates the illusion that there is always someone better, just one swipe away. This is the FOMO mechanism weaponized. You end a perfectly good date because you are not 100% sure, and that uncertainty is fatal because the app offers the promise of a 100% certainty that will never come. You are not rejecting the person, you are rejecting the closing of a door. You want to keep the options open, even if you never open them. This is the psychology of the hoarder applied to intimacy. You accumulate matches like you accumulate browser tabs. You tell yourself you will get to them later, but you never do. And the sheer weight of that accumulated potential paralyzes you. You become unable to act decisively, unable to commit, unable to simply choose. The most radical act in the modern dating landscape is not a grand romantic gesture. It is the simple, terrifying decision to focus on one imperfect, messy, wonderfully real human being and to let the other 1,000 options vanish into the digital ether. The solution, as always, lies in the deliberate imposition of constraints. The wealthy and the wise know that abundance without boundaries is a curse. To fix your dating psychology, you must artificially limit your options. This is the law of satisficing, a term coined by Nobel laureate Herbert Simon. You do not look for the best, you look for good enough, and you commit. This is not settling. This is recognizing that perfection is the enemy of the good, and the good is the true foundation of the beautiful. Natalie eventually escaped her dilemma by implementing a draconian rule. She would only swipe on the maximum of 3 profiles per day, and she would only maintain a conversation with 2 people at a time. If she went on a first date that was not a disaster, she would delete the app and go on a second date with that same person, regardless of whether there might be someone better out there.
It took her 3 months of discipline, but she finally met a man, a high school history teacher of all things, who was not the most ambitious, not the most handsome, but who made her laugh until her ribs hurt. She had to break her addiction to the dopamine of the next match to see him clearly. And when she did, she realized that she had been searching for a ghost while a real man had been standing right in front of her the whole time.